Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Email Request. I used to work at a mid-sized company where our department had its own supply closet. Everyone followed simple rules. Take what you need, don't hoard, and keep the area tidy. Easy enough for everyone, but not for our new office manager, Karen. Karen was all about cutting costs. Every morning she'd swoop into the supply closet like a hawk, inspecting everything. If a box of pens looked lighter, or the post-it notes weren't perfectly stacked, we'd get a stern email about wastefulness. She even introduced a sign-out sheet for supplies. If you wanted a highlighter, you had to justify it in writing. But Karen wasn't done. One day she took it a step further. She put a lock on the supply closet and declared herself the only key holder. If you needed something, you had to email her for approval. Of course, with her other duties, getting a single pen could take hours. Unsurprisingly, this started to impact productivity. My coworker Tom, who had a knack for following rules to the letter, decided to put Karen's system to the test. Every time he needed anything, no matter how small, he emailed Karen. Soon the rest of the department joined in. Everyone started emailing Karen for every little thing. With Karen insisting on approving each request personally, her inbox exploded. Approvals went from taking hours to days. Meetings were delayed because people didn't have notebooks, and presentations stalled because someone was waiting for a dry erase marker. Upper management started noticing. Productivity metrics were tanking, and the blame landed squarely on Karen's overly complicated system. She tried to argue that her approach was creating structure, but it was obvious her micromanagement was causing chaos. After a particularly disastrous week, upper management stepped in. They removed the lock, scrapped the sign-out sheet, and reinstated the honor system. Karen was given a formal reprimand and lost her control over the supply closet. After that, she kept a much lower profile. The next story is called Any Units. This happened to me just yesterday, and it gave us both a good laugh in the end. We had some material I knew we'd be using more of than originally projected. So I told the person working with it, cut the lengths you actually need, and then measure the rest and let me know how much is left. Here's the thing, our system uses a mix of measurements. Sometimes it's inches, feet, meters or millimeters. You never know what's coming your way. Trying to save us both some trouble, I said, any units are fine. I can convert them easily. About 2 seconds later, I realized what I'd said and quickly tried to clarify. I mean, any normal units. Well, he decided to have some fun with that. He brought me the measurement in Roman cubits. After we both had a good laugh, he handed me the actual sheet in millimeters, which he'd already converted from. The third story is called Missing Classes. This story takes place back in the late 90s. It was my senior year of high school, and I had technically earned enough credits in my junior year to graduate. I had even gotten an extra gym credit early, because of martial arts classes I took and later taught. But I decided to stay for my senior year to graduate with my friends. Since I had the credits I needed, I loaded up my schedule with whatever I wanted, or thought would look good on college applications. I took a few AP classes along with some random electives. The AP classes were a lot of work, and since I already had good test scores from the year before, I didn't want to stress about classes I wasn't passionate about, so I ended up dropping most. That left me with 3 open periods surrounding lunch every day. It was amazing. I still had 1 AP class, so I figured I wasn't slacking off too much. Both my parents worked, so no one at home noticed anything unusual, until we realized our answering machine was broken. Apparently, my school had been calling 3 times a day, every day, to say I wasn't showing up to a study hall class they had assigned me after I dropped those other courses. In previous years, a dropped class just meant a free period, so this was new to me. The funny part was how over the top the calls became. The woman leaving the messages started out professional, but soon got more aggressive. Even though no one at school ever said anything to me directly or sent a notice home. Around this time, my mom was transitioning into retirement as a hairstylist, so she was home on and off. When she started getting the calls, she told the woman that she was okay with it. My grades were good, I could have graduated early, and my college applications were in. Apparently, that was not the right thing to say. This woman, Sarah, went off on my mom, claiming we were irresponsible and that she was going to personally ruin my college prospects. She kept calling relentlessly, no matter how many times my parents told her it was fine, or even showed up in person to explain. It turned out there was a policy requiring the school to report unapproved absences, but they wouldn't accept verbal or face-to-face confirmation from my parents. They insisted my mom write a formal letter, but not just any letter. Sarah wanted my parents to acknowledge they were detrimental to my education. My mom was not about to write something like that. Instead, she had a brilliant idea. She found out the school was obligated to notify parents of every unexcused absence. So she started playing along, making Sarah call her every single period I missed. Each time Sarah called, my mom would act unsure. Do I want him to miss this period? I'm not sure. Let me think about it. Then she'd say, okay, just this one time, but make sure you call me if he misses anything else. My mom kept this up for months, knowing I was missing 3 periods a day until graduation. Eventually, Sarah stopped calling about a month before I graduated. But for those 5 months, my mom made sure to keep Sarah thoroughly occupied, turning the situation into a running joke at home. The last story is called Dress Code. When I was little, my mom sent me to a private religious school. My family wasn't religious, but they believed I'd get a better education there. And when I switched to public school later, I realized they were right. The school had a strict uniform policy. Boys wore white button-down shirts with the school logo and blue slacks, while girls wore jumpers. My mom hated cleaning and ironing those white button-down shirts every day. As one of 4 kids, we were constantly playing and getting grass stains, and the shirts were becoming a huge chore. Eventually, my mom decided enough was enough. She went out, bought a bunch of plain white polo shirts and started sending us to school in those instead. The school administration did not take kindly to this. They called her in for a meeting, opened the dress code rulebook and pointed out that the polos violated the rules, because they didn't have the required school logo. My mom calmly looked over the rules, confirmed that the lack of a logo was indeed the only issue, and thanked them before leaving. The school probably thought they'd won. To make their point, the school sent out a memo to all parents, reiterating the importance of following the uniform policy. But my mom had a plan. She took all the polos and stitched a homemade version of the school logo onto them. The logo was just the school initials, so it wasn't hard to recreate. At the next meeting, the administration was not happy, but they had to admit that my mom's solution technically followed the rules. That memo, however, had sparked curiosity among other parents. They started asking my mom where she got the new school shirts. Turns out she wasn't the only one tired of ironing and scrubbing out grass stains. Soon, more and more kids started showing up to school in polos. The school had a deal with a local clothing store that had a monopoly on selling the official uniforms. When parents stopped buying the expensive button-downs, the store started selling their own version of the polos to keep up with demand. Eventually, the original button-downs were phased out entirely, and polos became the standard uniform. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.